dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just remember. Just remember. Just remember. Just remember. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just remember. Just remember. Just remember. Just remember.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Sim Racing Media tonight. We are back in action in the ECR NextGen series as they take on Talladega for the Lone Wolf 200. I'm Mike Damoni. Joining me in the booth is going to be a little special guest, Liam. Man, it's been a while. How's it going, bud?
Hey, not too bad. I am excited. This is one of the best places to come back to. I mean, the racing here is always incredible, and this is an amazing league. These guys do it week in and week out, but this time they're going to be bumper to bumper closer together than most people are comfortable parking. So the action's going to speak for itself today, and I am stoked to see what we've got.
Definitely. It's been a couple weeks since we were on track. Last time we were on track, though, we were able to see Tristan Bailey go back-to-back as he was able to take the Bama Q200 from Iowa. Dwayne Furtick wound up second, and Colin Bollinger with a strong P3 showing. But tonight's going to be a little different. It's going to be about who you can dance with here at Talladega. Not only that, but the drivers this week, they start their Eliminator Challenge. So the first so many races, they got them set. So the top 12 in points now of these first 10 races are going to battle it out for 6 playoff points by the end of 11 races.
Yeah, so the top 12 drivers in points have qualified for this Eliminator Bracket Challenge. And the way it's going to work is the lowest finishing driver of each week will be eliminated. So John Osborne, for example, he came into this race first place in points. He's got himself a 3-point lead. It doesn't matter if he finishes last. He's going to get eliminated being the worst finisher. So all of these guys, they've got a lot of competition out there. They've only got to finish better than one of them to try to move on to the next week. But once we get down to those last couple weeks and we've only got 3-4 guys left, that competition's going to be fierce.
Yeah, it definitely is. We got John Osborne, Dwayne Furtick, Tristan Bailey, Tyler Burden, Colin Bollinger, Adam Boughton, Kane Lee, Brad Rivers, Anthony Ludi, Ryan McCall, Aaron Miller, and Doug Denise going to bring on the challenge here. But they are just about wrapped up in qualifying. And right now, it looks like Aaron Miller in that 10 Toyota is going to lead them to the charge. So we'll see what he can do here at Talladega as we get going. They've been here 6 times before. Usually not too bad of a race. We have had a different winner every time. Last season's winner was Tay McDonald. Tay is not here in the league this time, so we will have a new winner as they are getting ready to grid up here.
Yeah, just a couple quick things to note. Obviously this is a drafting style racetrack, but it is the widest track here in NASCAR, the biggest, baddest oval that NASCAR runs on. 33 degrees of banking. These guys are only going to have about 14 gallons of fuel. Look for the pit window to be around 25 to 28 laps, which could make things a little interesting here in this 75-lap affair.
Yeah, it's definitely going to make it a little bit dicey, I would say. If they try and make it the whole way on one stop, that last little bit might be a little dangerous here. But we'll go ahead and bring up the grid. We have Aaron Miller and Adam Boughton starting on the front row. Rob Mooney and Tristan Forston back there in row 2. Row 3, Sam Batwell and Tristan Bailey. Ryan McCall and Michael Carter make up row 4. Row 5, Stan Carnathan and Tyler Burden. Jonathan Cogswell and Dwayne Furtick make up row number 6. We got John Osborne, Christopher Roth, Anthony Ludi, and Bradley Rivers in 7 and 8. Row 9 is Doug Denise and Michael York. Pete Walsh and Robert Roth make up row number 10. Row 11 is Eric Maggette and Aaron Spear. Marshall Harris and Kane Lee are going to start in row number 12. And then we have got Kent Mueller, Gary Nash, Andrew Chapman, Colin Bollinger, Kyle Diaz, and Matthew Crago Jr. all not last 4 not taking a qualifying run. But we'll see where they can finish here once we get rolling.
Just about ready to get these cars rolling here. 30 of them on the grid here at Talladega. And Mike, one thing that I want to bring up here, we talked about that fuel number, 25 to 28. These guys might have to save a little bit of fuel. I don't expect it to be, similar to the Cup Series by any stretch of the means, but these guys might find themselves in a bit of fuel saving. A lot of what we saw in practice was also single file runs. So it'll be interesting to see how these cars handle when they're side by side. How long do they stay side by side for? And are we going to be able to see that third groove open up on the top side? These guys will have to work really hard and work well together to make that happen. It'll be interesting to see in these 75 laps at the biggest, baddest oval in NASCAR.
Yeah, definitely a little over 2.5 miles here. Temperature is a scorcher on the track temp anyway. So we'll see what these guys can do with that. Like the lights are out, so we should be getting ready to take the green flag momentarily here. Aaron Miller, Adam Boughton are going to lead them on to the green flag.
And Mike, I do just want to bring up a point. You showed that graphic with the 127-degree track temperature. We talked a little bit in the pre-race or before the race before we came on air, but I didn't really expect tires to be a factor at all. Expect most of these guys to take fuel only if they come in for green flag pit stops. That 127-degree track temperature might change that up a little bit. Might make these tires get slick towards the end of a run. You might see some guys taking 2, maybe even 4 under green flag.
Yeah, under green flag, that's going to be the question, is what your strategy will be. Under caution, just come down, get 4, and you should be good to go. I mean, you're not going to gain a ton of track position by doing that, and it might help you later on in the run. The other thing, it is Talladega. Talladega, their start-finish line is clear past pit exit, so definitely pay attention to that. It's not in the center of the tri-oval as usual. But enough with that. We get ready to go green flag racing here as Aaron Miller leads them to the Geico restart zone.
That's your last chance to scrub off those tires. Flag is in the air. Green flag is out. Aaron Miller leads us down. Adam Bowden strong up on the top side.
Yeah, side by side they go. And it looks like Aaron Miller almost is left by himself. That top side has got hooked up, and they are making a move here. Boughton forced in to the front. Looks like Aaron Miller might be able to slow down and catch the one of Rob Mooney down on the bottom.
Not an ideal start for that inside lane, but Boughton does really well getting himself out in front on that top lane. You see one car down on the apron, doing that to get to the back of the pack. That is a strategy we might see from some drivers here, moving to the back of the pack to stay out of the chaos. Keep yourself in it to be there at the end. We see the top 10 at least going single file here. And here comes one into the pits. That's Roth in the 62.
Christopher Roth headed down. Not sure what happened there.
The 11 of Crego Jr. is showing as off the track here as well, so keep you updated on that one. First lap complete here. You're hearing it was a technical issue there for the 62. Had himself a monitor glitch, so he just drove down to get out of everybody's way. Respectable move there, and because of that explanation, he will not be given a penalty for speeding through the pits.
Yeah, no, sometimes that's just one of the better things to do, especially, just get out of the way and see what you can do later. But these guys are definitely battling a little hard here on the top side now, as like Mooney made his way in front of the 24 of Stan Carnathan.
Mooney's getting himself a nice little head of steam up there, trying to make that top work with the 24. Couple of car lengths back to the 15, though. I think they're going to need a little bit more help from Bradley Rivers just to take the air off of that back spoiler of the 24 to help push him forward. They've got more help coming up behind them, though.
Yeah, I was going to say they have help if they can get rolling. That prime machine of Michael York is starting to get up there, give Rivers a little push. Dwayne Furtick's at the back end of that in that Dell machine.
You almost want to call him Kyle Larson with that paint scheme there, but hearing from the 5 radio, he's not really trying to push anything right now, so that explains that gap he's got. But those top 2 on the outside really working well together. Almost a 3-wide moment there with the 84. Jonathan Cogswell thought about poking through the middle there, then thought better. Stays behind that number 90 Rapid Fire Pizza, Ryan McCall.
Yeah, definitely trying to stay out of the way and keep kind of going forward as they're getting a little loose there. Mooney slides in and off of Carnathan's bumper there, but goes high and stays out of the wall, so they'll be 3 wide for a little while here until Mooney can slide back into a spot.
Yeah, that's a really tough spot to push here on this racetrack, Mike. It is the lightest that this car is going to be. It sets in a weird way. There's not as much banking as there is throughout the corner. So when you get into somebody's back end, it really can lighten it up and get them sideways. So good job for that number 1 of Mooney to be able to keep the car straight, get up out of the way. He's settled himself back towards the tail end of this pack in 23rd, but still with the draft.
Yeah, and as he was doing that, I'm kind of looking back here at some drivers. Just looks like they're just kind of cruising. Maybe they lost a little bit of the draft. Christopher Roth coming out of the pits after getting that having that hardware failure, but he is caught back up to Gary Nash. Kyle Diaz back here by himself. Pete Walsh on the tail end of the field.
And Tristan Bailey up in the 9. He's taking the race lead. Big time speed there. He's got a push from the 24, Stan Carnathan. They get down in front of Bradley Rivers. Follows them as well as the 5 of Michael York. Top 4 is single filed out once again, and that top lane starts to lose a little bit of momentum after these top 3 or 4 drop back down to the bottom. Look at this run that these two have.
They were hooked up, almost glued together there.
Three wide action here in the middle.
Furtick,
It's like
Kane Lee.
59 of Robert Raw is going to get stuck in the middle. He's going to find himself a spot down below and up to the middle of the racetrack moves the 47 machine, trying to take away that spot that Sam Boutwell does clear the 59 getting into turn 3, and now he's got a head of steam with nowhere to go.
Yeah, these runs, you kind of have to take them when you get them because you never know when they're going to come again as these guys are working their way through these laps. I mean, we're only, just completed lap 7 here, so plenty of time left. Looking back here at Rob Mooney as he went to that high side, faded back through the field, winds up in P20 right now.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of that. We're going to see some moves that don't work as you see the 47 moving down the racetrack, getting back out of the way. We're going to see a lot of that. Guys moving to the back after getting hung out to dry or making a move that doesn't work. These cars are huge parachutes in the air. I mean, they are very draggy. So when you pull out a line, you pull out of the draft, you can immediately feel the effects on your car. I mean, it slows you down big time.
Yeah, that, and you see a little bit of the side drafting. Kind of pulls that other lane back to you. But lately it seems like you got to be a little more cautious of that as it almost sucks that inside car up to you.
Yeah, it's early on in this race. We're not going to see a lot of that side draft that we like to talk about, but you see a little bit of a move there as Tyler Burden moves to the bottom. Going to leave that 38. I'm not sure what that sponsor is there, but he's got chrome on there. Kane Lee in the 38 up on top, resembling a McLaren outfit.
It's almost the same as Furtick's back there. I know Furtick has Dell on his machine.
Yeah, but he's got that same logo on the front too. Maybe somebody in the chat knows what that sponsor is. Can help us out. Working lap number 10. Every lap been green flag so far. Tristan Bailey holds on to the race lead right now. Dan Carnathan in second. Bradley Rivers. Then Tyler Burden. John Osborne rounds out the top 5. Michael York in 6th, and it's double wide behind him. But that outside lane not having a lot of momentum here as now Boughton comes up to the top, and he's got York moving up with him.
Yeah, York came up right in front and timed it almost perfectly there. Didn't really slow down that outside lane a lot, but he is getting a push here. Okay.
10 laps complete here. And the top lane get formulated here. Been mostly a tale of two lines. 3 wide hasn't really worked out for the middle driver so far in this race. We've still got a ways to go, but we're approaching halfway through a fuel cycle here as we've got a big run up on the top side. Michael York with Boughton going to take over the race lead. Kane Lee up on the top as well. Now Boughton makes the move up on the outside. The 5 went down to try to cover. The momentum staying on that outside. Adam Boughton's going to take the lead this lap. We'll see if Kane Lee stays behind him or if they're going to jump down to the bottom of the racetrack. Lee moves down. He's going to try to take over the race lead.
Yeah, Kane Lee trying to get that Southern Alliance racing machine to the front.
Boughton on that outside, staying strong. Now he's got a big push from the 96, Aaron Spear. Big push on the bottom from Michael York. These guys side by side for the race lead, getting into turn 3 at Talladega. Advantage Kane Lee for now, but expect that. Expect a lot of lead changes, especially when these guys get to shuffling around at the front. Guys like Mike had said earlier, you almost want to take these runs as soon as you can get them. We're seeing a lot of that up front right now as they're side by side. Here comes Kane Lee up to the top to block the top lane. Gonna work out for him this time, but man, blocking is such a tough game here on iRacing, especially at these super speedways.
Yeah, you never know exactly when you need to move up there. If you move up too soon, that driver can just pull up and go around you. But if you're even like a millisecond too late, you're going to go into that outside wall.
Yeah, and likely take out a bunch of cars with you.
Yeah, especially at the front. Just have to pull a Eric Almirola here.
Poor Catherine.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
That time by Kane Lee leads it by a skosh, but the inside lane getting hooked up. A couple of Hendrick-looking cars getting hooked up. Tristan Bailey all over the back of Michael York, and they've got that 24 car with them as well. Dan Carnathan staying up at the front. He's been up here most of the race after starting in 9th position. Aaron Spear moves up into 6th place. He's got a run. We're going 3 wide for the lead. Down on the apron, just a touch, goes the 9, and that's going to shuffle Michael York out and give the lead to Kane Lee up on the outside. Once again, that middle lane just can't get any momentum. It's a sucker hole.
Yeah, Tristan Bailey looked like he got a little bit of a run as York kind of slid up the track. He took the place, and York got hung out to dry in the middle there. He did file back and get in that outside lane behind Pete Walsh. Now he's going back down to the bottom. But side by side for the lead, Kane Lee and Adam Boughton. Aaron Spear also up there.
That outside lane gets a lot of momentum coming up off of the corner, but you see that Kane Lee moving down to the inside helps give that 9 a little bit more momentum. He's a real good pusher we've seen already. Look at the momentum that these guys are gaining on the inside lane, getting side by side for second. They might be side by side for the lead coming up off of turn number 4.
Yeah, they are looking like
they are.
I'll say
that was a sketchy moment there.
I'll say look like Ludi got a little loose there.
Really easy to get a guy squirrely with the pushes coming up off of these corners. We talked about it in the tri-oval. That's where the cars are the lightest, but that transition coming up off of the banking is a really easy spot to upset the car as well.
Yeah, if you touch them at just the wrong time, it's going to send them somewhere that they probably don't want to be.
And these cars aren't.
It's a run too.
They're not necessarily the easiest to save. Sorry, Mike.
No. These are not kind of heard it through the broadcast on the Xfinity race. Those are a lot easier to save, or the ARCA cars are easier to save than the Cup cars. I mean, the Cup cars with the new steering, I mean, it'll break loose and you'll just go into that outside wall.
A little bit of contact there towards the middle. There's a 15. Bradley Rivers got a door from the 21. No harm, no foul. We continue on. Kane Lee working the inside lane, holding on to the race lead. Adam Bowden trying to make that outside work with help from Aaron Spear, but those guys just aren't quite close enough at the moment. The inside lane getting more and more momentum.
Yeah, they are hooked up nose to tail here. The other thing I've seen happen a lot more recently here at these super speedways is you have got to pay attention to that temperature, or you could blow that engine at any moment in time.
Yeah, that's a good point, Mike, and that could be a huge problem. You get that oil or water temp too high, that pressure gets to be too much, causes a problem in the motor, you blow it, and you don't want to be in the middle of the pack when that happens, or leading. Well, rather pushing the leader, because you're going to have enough clean air if you're the leader. If you're Kane Lee right now, probably sitting at a nice 230, 220.
Yeah, definitely not something you probably have to worry about too much here.
And then once you get up into that 290 range, I want to say is when you're really skirting or flirting with disaster. Top 5 starting to break away just a little bit. Don't expect that to last very long, though, as we've got the top 3 all nose to tail bumping each other. That could get a little sketchy.
Yeah, and you can see that looked like they were trying to get a little more fresh air to the nose of the drivers in second and third, as one went high, one went low, trying to just get a little bit of air there. And now they're right back to pushing once again.
Big time momentum up on the top for Anthony Ludi and that 95 Sprite machine. He's getting side by side with Bowden, trying to take away the 6th position. These guys being side by side, that's going to allow those top 5 that are single file just a little bit more distance. Don't expect them to get far enough out as to where they'll separate from the rest of the pack. But it definitely gives those guys a little bit more of an advantage, as once again you can see up in the front the 9 car moving up to allow a little bit more air to the front end of that 24.
Now that outside lane's starting to come back towards the front. Little loose there does Marshall Harris.
Now he's going to steal the lead of that outside lane, kick Roth out, leave him out to dry. Now he moves back down to the inside in front of Adam Bowden. 3 wide behind as Roth tries to find himself a spot in line, and that move really killed the momentum of the outside lane.
Yeah, it looked like Robert Roth got a little bit of a run, tried to give Marshall Harris a push, and just couldn't get it completed, and that caused that whole outside lane to lose momentum. Kent Mueller trying to get a little momentum going here. He's got Doug Denise behind him.
So far, Mueller's having himself a pretty good race, running in 12th after starting in 25th position. Passed a lot of cars, and probably going to pass a bunch more with the way that this field is flowing. Inside lane doing what it does, though, and he's going to lose a couple more here. Well, maybe not. They check up just a hair. That allows Mueller a little bit of momentum. Now, 20 laps complete. All laps green flag, of course, at this point. Gotta say, these guys are probably within 5 to 7 laps of making a green flag pit stop, which might be why we see everybody starting to get single file, starting to leave more space between other cars, just so that they know it's going to be a little bit safer getting onto pit lane.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be one of those situations.
It is a really tricky pit lane here at Talladega, mostly because you don't use the brakes at any other point throughout the course of this race, other than when you're coming into pit or slowing down for a caution. These brakes are going to be cold. They're going to be a little testy. Going to be interesting when you first push the pedal down. I would expect some guys to try to pump that brake a little bit just to make sure that it feels good and doesn't lock up the tires getting into the pits.
Yeah, you definitely want to make sure you have a safe pit entry. Otherwise, that is going to cost you a bunch of time there, especially under green flag pit stops.
Nothing will cost you more time, though, than speeding through the pit lane. That's going to be a penalty that you won't be able to serve under yellow. I'm not sure if it's a stop and go or just a pass through, but either way, at a track like this, any sort of penalty, you're going to lose the draft, and it's not going to be long before you lose a lap.
Yeah, as you saw, Christopher Roth going a lap down there.
Unfortunate for him after having a monitor malfunction quickly, and he was able to recover and not wreck the car. He jumped down pit lane to, kind of sacrifice himself instead of causing problems for others, which is a pretty respectful thing to do. Most guys, if they're having engine trouble or something like that, feel a tire going down, they're going to try to get out of the way. So professional move there out of the 62. It just, unfortunately, it did cost him a lap. But so far, the only car one lap down should be able to get the free pass if the caution were to come out.
Ooh, a little bump there from Bailey. See from this view as they spread out a little bit.
Yeah, they're starting to get side by side here on lap number 25. Be interesting to see who gets ready to make the pit stop. Probably hear guys start to call it out within the next few laps.
Well, if you're in that outside lane, you're not going to have much of a choice.
No, you're not going to be able to pit from that outside lane. Hearing some drivers get on the radio about fuel numbers. We're hearing between 1 and 3 laps fuel that these drivers have, so expect some to come in this time, next time, and maybe even the time after that if we don't get them all in two laps.
Yeah, if you've been up there running on the, leading either line or using your throttle a little bit more than some of these other guys, you're probably going to have to come down pretty quickly here.
But there is a lot of off-throttle time when you're sitting in the middle of the pack. Here comes your race leader. He's got a few coming with him. Not very many, though. Looks like Roth thought about coming into the pits, slowed down for a second, and then came back up onto the racetrack. He's going to shuffle up this field. And
he just bunched up the whole field. So Cogswell, Burdick, Lee, Roth all came in.
A lot of guys are calling out that they're coming into the pits this time. Expect to see a very busy pit entry. Remember, you got to watch your marks, make sure you don't speed, but there's going to be a lot of cars coming in with you. Try not to hit anything or make a mistake. Here comes almost the entire lead pack. Oh, a little bit of a slide there out of the 5.
York and Burton.
Looks like most everybody's going to be able to get onto pit road safely and properly. I don't see a lot for damage. We're seeing some right sides being taken. 25, Andrew Chapman. 0 of Tristan Forston takes over the race lead. Tristan Bailey gets out of the pits in first, but he's got quite a gap behind him. Tristan Forston is going to come into pit. That will complete the green flag pit cycle here, as now Tristan Bailey has gotten back to that 25 machine of Andrew Chapman. Stan Carnathan and Tyler Burden just a little bit behind them.
Looks like Michael York has a penalty.
Oh, and that is going to be tough for him. He was running up front most of this race. Might have been too fast entering there. I know he locked up the brakes and slid into another car. Six cars in this lead draft. And it's about 2.5 seconds before we get another pack of 4. .42 of Maggotti's going to go a lap down here, which will put him in the free pass position.
Cogswell is in this group, so hit on lap 26, was able to catch the group that pitted behind him, so
yeah, worked out a lot better for Kane Lee and Cogswell than worked out a lot better for Kane Lee and Jonathan Cogswell than I thought it was going to. Those guys coming in, just the two of them. We're not going to have a whole heck of a lot of draft help, but only one lap in between allowed them to get their momentum rolled up and catch up to this draft, be up in the lead pack.
Chapman all over the rear bumper there of Bailey.
And these guys starting to pull out a little bit more of a gap on the cars behind Ryan McCall. Now 3.5 seconds off the race lead. These guys getting a tow from some lapped cars. 17 South goes a lap down. Next is Kyle Diaz. So far, these top 6 have the perfect strategy.
Yeah, nothing really to worry about at the moment. Ryan McCall leading the second group as they try and go around. I believe that's south again.
Yep, they have got a host of cars coming behind them. Group being led by Adam Mountain. Got about 8 of them, 9 of them on the lead lap that are lined up. They're going to swallow this next pack whole, and they are gaining on the leaders. It's 5 seconds now, 4 3/4. Taking a look at the speed, they are about 3 to 6 miles an hour faster now as they work around the outside of the 88 machine. Got a big run on this group of 4 up in front of them. Are they going to be able to dispose of them quickly, or are they going to get side by side and start losing time again?
Yeah, that's the thing. They need to stay. They pretty much single file, and it looks like the other pack has to come up to get around Kyle Diaz, so that's going to kind of single file them out, and we'll see if they stay that way here.
Oh, they're going to double up over here. As this pack increases in size, the speed is just going to increase as well. Right now it's 4.4 seconds behind the race leader. That gap is falling down quickly. Spear gets a big shove to the back of Aaron Miller. That top lane of about 8 drivers. They've got a ton of steam as now Miller moves down to the bottom of the racetrack. Everybody follows.
It looks like everybody's trying to get down. Like Thorsten's on the high side there.
Back up to about 4 3/4 seconds between these packs. Kristen Bailey right now just hoping that gap can stay as consistent as possible, if not grow. And then try to rinse and repeat for the next pit cycle.
Yeah, they just want to keep growing this gap, especially through the pit cycle. But with that being said, as we're single filed out, we're going to take our commercial break here. You won't miss anything. We'll go side by side. We'll be right back after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. You didn't miss anything as we were side by side. The only thing that has changed is the gap to the leaders. Tristan Bailey and this group is now almost 6 seconds in front.
Yeah, and I mean, these guys are really, really impressing me with how tight they're able to run together. Obviously, they've picked up some lapped cars. They've got a little bit more traffic with them, and that's allowing them to run these quicker speeds. But their pit strategy was able to put them out with enough of a gap that they're able to work this pack together. Now they've got Michael York just in front of them on the tail end of the lead lap. Obviously, teammates there working together just in case that caution does come out. They want to try to keep their teammate on the lead lap.
I mean,
Tristan Bailey continues to lead this race.
I'll say, and why not have him in front leading it anyway? Maybe it helps a little bit of the fuel for the 9 machine as well. You don't have to quite take so much, when you come in for that second pit stop.
No, definitely not. And that could be a factor as these guys move into the late stages of this race. If you could take a little bit less fuel, spend a little bit less time on the pit lane. We've already seen these guys are able to get out to almost 6 seconds over the next group of cars. A little bit can go a long way.
And you look off the nose here of Andrew Chapman, and you can just see how close he's able to get there to the back of Tristan Bailey. And if we go back and look at the drivers back in this other group here, not too bad, but then you have, half a car, and it just keeps getting compounded as they go through the field back here.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are running just about the same speed as the leader, just a little bit slower, but over time, that's going to keep adding up. You got to be going faster. It's just, common sense.
Yeah, and you can hear over the radio the frustration that they're a bigger group of cars, but they can't seem to get hooked up and stay there. They would be faster, but all the gaps are not helping them, and it's only leading to a slower speed and allowing the top 6 to kind of pull away.
Yeah, and they might not know. I mean, they can probably see at least the first 2 or 3. They can probably see how many cars are in that lead pack. They know that it might be closer to equal size at this point. Those guys towards the back. They look at their relatives, they just see 6 up in front of them. And they're like, why are we not quicker?
And now the gap from Miller to Lee is over 6 seconds, and Kane Lee is the last car on that lead pack.
Yeah, it might be time to try somebody else up front. I know Aaron Miller's got a lot of raw speed in that car, but you might have to try something else there. The pole sitter not able to close in on the rest of these drivers. Now the lead pack is hooked up right now, going 195 miles per hour down the back straightaway. 198 for Tyler Burden in the 0-6. Meanwhile, Aaron Miller, his top speed getting into the corner, gonna be. Oh, they shuffled him out. Top speed for that second pack was Aaron Spear going 192 as he made the pass on the 10 machine, and he's going to get shuffled to the middle. One car gets up into the wall. That was the 26 of Diaz, trying to stay up top behind Ryan McCall in the 90. John Osborne up top as well. We'll see if Aaron Spear can lead this pack and get them a little bit closer. They are 7.5 seconds off of Kane Lee in the 38 car.
Yeah, they just lost almost a second that lap.
A lot of shuffling around. The side-by-side can definitely do that, but really good run here down the back straightaway. They're able to get up to 194 getting into turn 3. That's the best we've seen out of that second pack, as the first pack is now sitting around 187 coming up out of their turn 4 in the trial.
Yeah, you're trying to figure out what you need to do to close this gap, and it is starting to close now. Slowly.
Yeah, half a second in favor of that second group. Aaron Spear leads now. And a lot of guys put down a 50, 53, 56, 57. Consistent lap times coming from that second group now. Everybody seems to have gotten in a line that they can push appropriately. Adam Bowden all over the back of that 96. Could be another half a second in their favor.
Yeah, Revolution Motorsports decided to swap drivers up on the front lane, and that is exactly what has happened. And they are cruising here.
They've got to try to close this gap as much as they possibly can before this next pit cycle. I'd say we're about 5 to 7 laps away from pitting. Although the window does open up on lap 49.
I'll say that's the other thing. You know, when you're sitting here, you're having an issue, you can't catch anybody. What are you going to do? How are you going to make up that gap? Maybe you come down and pit early and just try and, get a little bit smaller group of cars together, and you can make that consistent pushes that you need in order to close that gap.
This time around, just about half a tenth quicker than your leader, Tristan Bailey. They figured something out in that second pack, but it's just not enough quite yet. As these top 6, with the help of a couple of lapped cars, are able to just cut through this air at a dynamic pace. 197 out of the race leader getting into turn number 3.
Now you got Michael York trying to stay on the lead lap, leading this pack. Kristen Bailey, Chapman, Arnathan, Burden. And you got Cogswell. Looks like Mooney is the first car a lap down, so he's trying to stay there and hope that a caution comes out before they pass before they pass Michael York, so he gets the free pass and can start racing because he knows he has speed because he's been running up here with these guys.
Blazing fast lap time that last time around, beneath 50 seconds, a 49.98 out of your race leader, 49.96 for second place Chapman. The fastest of that group was actually Cogswell in the 84 with a 49.95, about 4 tenths quicker than what the guys behind him are throwing together right now. This lead pack has got it figured out as we approach 50 laps in this race. We're on lap 49 right now. We've got 27 to go, coming to 26 this time around. Still caution free throughout the course of this event, which is phenomenal, but not shocking out of these drivers.
Yeah, no, not at all. These guys have put on a show week in and week out. See what they can do next week when we head to the Rapid Fire Pizza at Bristol.
I think what they're doing is they're saving this week's cautions for next week. I know they call Bowman Gray the Madhouse, but in terms of iRacing, Bristol's got to be one of the toughest short tracks to manage. I mean, there is just... things are happening so fast. I mean, you think Talladega's fast. Definitely quicker here than they are there, but that is a half-mile bull ring, 28 degrees of banking progressively up to the top. The corners are so tight, they could be wrecked on a straightaway, and if nobody tells you, you're not going to see it.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do about it. But, I mean, that's next week. These guys are putting on a show this week.
50 laps complete. The fuel window is open. You can make it from here. These guys are probably going to want to try to go just a couple more laps in case there is an overtime. Although with this pace, I don't know. I mean, we're running caution-free so far.
Yeah.
I'd rather be safe than sorry.
I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, these guys are running, within inches of each other up here in this front pack. On board here with Bailey, the race leader.
That gap to the 6th to 7th is 7.3, 7.4 seconds. So the top group is definitely gaining speed, gaining time once again. Sounds like Christopher Roth had another issue with his monitor. He's going to lose some speed, lose some time. Lap 53. Most of these guys pit on lap 27. Kane Lee and Jonathan Cogswell pit 1 lap earlier. We should have most of these guys coming in this time.
Now we'll see who comes down first here. I'd assume the second pack's probably going to come down before this first pack, but
the lead pack is electing not to. We'll take a look at that second group. And everybody's coming in the second group. Got to get it woed down, try not to speed here. Aaron Spear, Adam Boughton, Anthony Ludi, Kent Mueller, Michael Carter, Aaron Miller, Ryan McCall, and Marshall Harris come in this time. This group should be coming in this time around. Aaron calls on the radio, the iRacing equivalent to hands out the window. Here comes your leaders. That 5 has got to try to make sure not to speed again. I believe he was the only one to get caught on that first pit cycle.
yeah, definitely
And
looked like it. Caution is out.
Caution flag. Crash on the front straightaway. John Osborne in the outside wall on pit exit. And this changes everything. Well, that was eventful. Coming up off of the pit lane, the 8 got turned down into the 94 as he tried to rejoin. 81 jumps up onto the racetrack to avoid him. The 95 is actually the one who makes the initial contact, turning the 8 down.
Oh, and then the 81 gets tapped, yeah.
Caution out here for the first time. 54 laps complete. So we'll have to see how this shakes out. Everybody being on the pits, I would imagine they get to hold on to their position.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to wait and see what happens here.
That big lead and amazing strategy out the window. Adam Boughton going to come in and get his car looked at. Wade Furtick in the 51 will be awarded the lucky dog. As he You see him in that Aero McLaren looking machine get around there on the outside. Andrew Chapman takes over the race lead, winning the race off of pit road. Tristan Bailey in second, Jonathan Cogswell, Kane Lee, and Tyler Burden rounding out your top 5. We go back to Stan Carnathan, then Anthony Ludi in the 95, who was involved in that initial contact starting off what brought out the caution. Aaron Spear just behind him in the 96. Michael Carter, and then Marshall Harris in the 21, up in the top 10. We haven't talked about him a whole lot. He's had a couple of moments throughout the course of this race. Ryan McCall is in 11th. Tristan Forston got himself a lap lead when he stayed out under the first pit cycle. Sits in 12th place. Pete Walsh, 74. Rocket 13th. Bradley Rivers in 14th. We've seen him up front. And then Pete Walsh behind him. Kent Mueller getting that car looked at after the contact with the 94 and the 81 of John Osborne. The tensions definitely get high when you're running that long, green flag, you know, and I know John Osborne was a little upset with the fact that they couldn't get to that lead pack now coming up off of the pit lane. He gets caught up in something that wasn't necessarily of his doing. Unfortunately, going to have to get some of that damage looked at as he is still in the pits. Kent Mueller, he's going to try to get out and beat the pace car. Does not look like John Osborne is going to attempt to do the same.
He's staying in.
Yeah, the right front of that car does not look good. I'm not sure if it maybe broke the toe on that contact with the 8, but either way, it got his car out of control, and he hit that outside wall at a really tough angle. It wasn't a super high-speed impact, but when you hit that corner at that angle, it can really, really tear up the suspension. Doubled up here, going green this time by. Going to be 18 laps to go. Chapman over Bailey, then Kane Lee, Cogswell, Stan Carnathan, and Tyler Burden. Those drivers were so far out in front before this caution came out, that 7.5 second lead that they had erased. Behind them, Aaron Spear, Anthony Ludi, Marshall Harris, and Michael Carter round out your top 10. And folks, this is going to get interesting. This is going to get entertaining. The blocks are going to get bigger. The pushes are going to get harder. We haven't seen 3 wide work a whole heck of a lot, but I don't think that's going to stop these guys from trying if they get a late run.
Yeah, it's definitely going to heat up here with 18 to go when we take that green flag. And especially with Chapman and Bailey were working together earlier. I imagine we're going to see them try and get hooked up here pretty quickly. And we'll see what the drivers behind them elect to do to kind of mitigate that teamwork they had.
Well, strategy is out the window. Everybody can make it to the end. These caution laps have probably just given that much more insurance for a green-white checker. Andrew Chapman chooses the outside lane in front of Kane Lee. Tristan Bailey on the inside. These guys waiting for that Geico restart zone, which, once again, is past where the start-finish line is at Daytona.
Yeah, it definitely is. As we come out of the Rapid Fire Pizza yellow flag, we are green flag racing here in the Lone Wolf 200. And Andrew Chapman down and away, and he gets a huge lead here if he's going to slide down in front of Bailey.
Yeah, he's going to make that move down. Along with the 24, these guys leave the 38 up on his lonesome. He's going to have a little bit of help with the 96 of Spear behind him, but the inside lane dominates that restart.
Now the inside lane is out and away. Cogswell was all over the back of the 9 of Bailey, and that helped get that inside lane moving in a hurry.
'21 car is still on the lead lap. We've got 28 cars still on, 29 cars still on track. Everybody who took the green flag is still on the racetrack. John Osborne has gone 1 lap down, about to go a second if he doesn't get another caution here shortly. Michael York in the 5, the first car 1 lap down. He would be the free pass if we do get that caution. And I tell you what, Mike, it seems a little bit.
Tyler Burton gets a bad bump there from the 24 of Stan Carnathan, but we are still green as they were able to save it. Tyler Burton with a heck of a save there after getting a little bit of a bad bump there from the 24 of Stan Carnathan.
Absolutely phenomenal driving for everyone to get out of that, and a great save by the 06. Just as I opened my mouth talking about the flag we don't want, we almost get it. Tyler Burton, he'll lose a ton of position there, but keeps the car straight. 17th place for that 06 machine.
Yeah, definitely not where he wanted to be there, but was able to save it and keep going. Looks like
1 up the racetrack. Stan Carnathan. It's either an aggressive move up to the top or potentially got a bad shove, got a little sideways, but he's straightening back out the inside lane, and the second group is able to get back going, and I don't foresee that first group getting as much of a lead as they did.
I don't know, they got out here in a hurry after that bad bump kind of shook things up. They were able to stay single filed. You got Chapman, Bailey, Cogswell.
I gotta wonder if Aaron Miller is going to be the right guy to lead that second lane or lead that second group. He got a little bit of front end damage in that last caution, but there was also, he wasn't the strongest leader in the first or after the first pit stop. Now you see Roth moving up to the top, and here comes Carnathan to make it 3 wide. Big run for these guys. 59 trying to get up and side draft a little bit. Tyler Burton swirly again. Down the racetrack goes Michael York. He's going to rejoin safely, I would presume. That takes him out of the free pass position and gives it to the 1 of Rob Mooney.
Three wide back there. Kyle Diaz goes from the top to the bottom, gets in front of Miller. Going to see if he can lead that inside lane a little bit better there.
Side by side in the second pack. It's not going to be the quickest way to get this done. These guys are losing a ton of time now, coming up 2 seconds between these two packs. Stan Carnathan up on the top side. He's going to have himself a little bit of momentum. Going to bring Ryan McCall with him. See if these guys drop down to the bottom of the racetrack. But here's a slower car. Just in front of these guys, it's going to give them a bit of a tow, allow them to catch up a little bit more. That's John Osborne going another lap down.
They're trying to figure out what's going to be the best way to get towards the front, and what they're doing is definitely not it. You have Carnathan, McCall, and Burton in that outside lane, but they keep getting a little too squirrely there.
2.2 seconds to the top 10. And if you're Tristan Bailey, Andrew Chapman, Jonathan Cogswell, Kane Lee, you've done this before. It's worked well for you. Anthony Ludi in the 95. He's a new addition to this group. He's in that second pack during the second stanza of this race after the first pit cycle. And the 21 of Marshall Harris worked his way up into the top 10. He's currently sitting 6th place, 17 spots up from where he started. Andrew Chapman, though, is our biggest mover at this point. Started 27th on the field, did not take a qualifying lap. He holds on to the race lead with just 12 laps to go.
Michael Carter, Aaron Spear, and Colin Bollinger trying to get that outside lane to work, and that is going to help the second group here. If these guys start racing side by side, it's going to slow them down just a little bit, but that second group is also just racing side by side.
Yeah, they've got a couple of them out front, and Bradley Rivers seems to have lost the draft from that lead pack. That's going to allow these guys to get a toe on him and pull up a little bit more. With 12 laps to go, coming to 11 laps to go. You've got to close that gap.
Yeah, you're going to have to do something in order to catch Chapman and Bailey. They've been the class of the field most of the night. You saw them working together and getting out to that 7-second lead. We'll see what they can do here towards the end of this race. But right now, Anthony Ludi is trying to lead that outside lane, just can't quite do it there.
Trying to make something happen here on the outside with 11 laps to go in 95. Got himself a nice push from Carter. Ludi, though, losing time to Kane Lee and the rest of the guys on the inside lane.
Yeah, Kane Lee got that inside lane, caught back up to Cogswell. They had a run, but they elected to stay behind it, not force it 3 wide, which was probably the correct decision in order to get them the best idea to win here as Bollinger pulls out and goes side by side with Kane Lee.
And the top 9, they're almost 3 seconds in front of that next group.
Go back and look at this second group here. 3 wide in the middle. Bradley Rivers did catch these guys, and Kane. Kyle Diaz.
Kyle Diaz up the racetrack. Caution's going to come out. He hits that wall a ton. Another piece of damage for Aaron Miller. And that is unfortunate for Kyle Diaz as he was in the free pass position just before the caution.
I thought Diaz was going to be able to save it here. Oh, Rob Mooney gave him a little bit of a bad push. Side by side around in front of the 97 and the 10.
I think that was the 47 there of Sam Boutwell. They got a piece of it. Caution comes out now with less than 10 laps to go. 9 laps at this point, coming to 8 when they cross the start-finish line. Well, Mike, we talked about how the bumps were going to get harder. Pushes were going to be more aggressive. And we saw it. But now these guys are going to get to going with less than 5 laps for the win at Talladega. I know I talked about overtime maybe seeming unlikely while we were on that long green flag run, but right now, that possibility is very much in the back of every driver's mind.
Yeah, it definitely is. Rapid Fire Pizza brings out or sponsors the yellow flag every week, and they weren't looking too good for the sponsorship now, but now after a couple quick cautions, we'll see what they can do, what the drivers can do now.
Mike, it has been a while since I've been here. What is the overtime situation? How many do we get?
I believe 3. Not mistaken.
So most of these guys should be... Take a look at the fuel numbers here. Most of these guys pitted on lap 53 or 54, which would put them good to about 80, 81. So I'd say they're probably good for at least 2 green-white checkers on fuel. But these caution laps, they might help them out more. They might be able to make it through all 3 if necessary. Of course, we hope they're not. We want these guys to be able to get it done in regulation. So I don't think anybody ever complains about a little extra racing. Unless you're the leader.
I don't know. These guys up front probably are, because they started to pull away again, and now it's all reset once again.
It's definitely interesting how those guys are able to just take advantage of the guys side by side behind them. Obviously, there was the squirrely moment there with Tyler Burden that kind of separated those packs. But as soon as they got that separation, everybody just got their heads down and put it into business mode. Obviously, they got a little side-by-side after that, but those guys did real well getting themselves a gap. Not going to be enough time to do it.
Yeah, I'm going to say we're probably going to be 6 when we take the green flag. So 6 lap shootout.
Fine by me.
They should be coming to get stacked up here. And I would assume we're going to have Tristan Bailey take the inside as usual with Andrew Chapman taking the high side. And Andrew will try and clear again to get down to that bottom and try and just have a race between himself and Bailey. But he does have a new challenger behind him. And Colin Bollinger hasn't been up front for a while. We'll see what that 53 Toyota can do here.
Yeah, that's a name that I have not mentioned once on this broadcast. Colin Bollinger. I know you've brought him up a couple times, but he was another one of those drivers that did not set a qualifying time. So he started at the back of the field. Right now up 24 spots from where he started. Just 1 spot behind Andrew Chapman in terms of starting positions and in the lane on the racetrack. Doubled up here for a 6-lap shootout. Will they make it back? Will the top 2 be able to pull off these team games, team orders, and control this restart? This is where the fun begins.
Yeah, where they try and figure out where they want to be. All of the racing comes down to these final 6 laps.
And I'm reminded of what Denny Hamlin said on his podcast after the Daytona 500. You got to make it until you can see the checkers. You can't wad them up before that. There's no payday. So how patient will these guys be? How long will they stay patient? I know it's getting tough to lift when you get 5-6 laps to go at a super speedway race. Sometimes that patience, even on the last lap, can pay off. We'll see, though. It's going to be pedal to the metal for most of these guys.
You can already see how close Cogswell's getting here as they get ready to hit that Geico restart zone. And we are green flag racing once again here. It looks like Chapman gets a good run. Bollinger trying to stay with him.
25 moves back down to the bottom of the racetrack. Bollinger going to lead that outside lane, and there's 5 cars tucked nose to tail on the inside. Most everybody moves up to the outside right now, and it's going to be a little bit slower coming through the gears. Coming up off of turn number 2, though, you should get a little bit more momentum. So we'll see what Bollinger can do up on the top side. On the inside, it's still Chapman, Bailey, Cogswell, and Kane Lee as Marshall Harris is side by side for 5th with that 53.
And you got Ludi back there as well, Burden down on the inside. Whoa, the 95 goes down. Anthony Ludi side drafting a little too close, trying to pull him back. Slows that outside line down. Bollinger bails and goes down to the inside lane.
And that was aggressive out of the 53 of Bollinger, getting down right in front of that 21 machine. Got it down there safely. The top 8 now single file once again with two more following him in line. 3 up on the top side. 13 cars in this lead pack. Bradley Rivers just about a second and a half behind. Close enough to sniff the draft, but not close enough to pull himself in, evidently. Here comes a run up on the top side from Ludi as he gets side by side with Burden. Burden's had himself a very interesting race. He's gotten sideways a couple times within the last 15 laps. That second pack starting to form up a little bit better. With 4 laps to go, are they going to be able to close in on the race leaders?
We'll see if that's going to happen as Bollinger pulls out, and he's going to lose a spot. But he has Stan Carnathan trying to give him a shove. Anthony Ludi back there as well, Michael Carter and Adam Boughton.
Stan Carnathan, one of the best pushers we've seen all day. However, also one of the more aggressive pushers we've seen as the 21 moves up to the middle momentarily. Anthony Ludi trying to get in line here, but here comes Bollinger up on the outside with help from Carnathan.
Now Carnathan giving him a pretty good shove there. Bollinger trying anything he can. Anthony Ludi's been all over the track. I feel a little unsure of myself at the moment.
3 more laps around this 2 2/3 mile oval. Bradley Rivers closing in just a little bit more on that lead group, but not quite enough to get himself within sniffing distance. Down the back straightaway, the pushes are going to get more and more aggressive. That inside lane, phenomenal drafting right now. The outside has 5 of them trying to get up there, being led by the 53, Colin Bollinger. Here comes the 25 up. Chapman tries to block. Bollinger is there.
Yeah, Bollinger tried to close it fast enough, and Andrew Chapman thought about coming up to block it, thought better of it, stayed down on the bottom, and now they are side by side for the lead. Tyler Burton goes 3 wide.
The inside with a little bit more momentum as they get into turns 1 and 2, but coming up off of the corner, that's where Stan Carnathan really shines on the back bumper. All over the 53 of Bollinger. Gonna get him side by side for the lead, but getting into the corner just can't give him enough to take the lead. Coming to the white flag this time around.
Yeah, coming to the white flag this time around, Chapman.
Oh! Bollinger got sideways there. A bump from the 24 sent him squirrely. That allows the inside lane to get 4 or 5 of them clear. Here's Ludi up on the top side trying to make something happen. White flag is in the air.
Bollinger trying to power his way through the middle. Kane Lee down there as well. But now it's going to be who has the run coming off of turn number 4. Second pack is all over, blocking everybody, and disaster is probably going to strike in that second group.
Watch Anthony Ludi up on the outside in the 95. Big push from Boughton. Tristan Bailey all over the back bumper of Chapman. They're crashing in the back. Aaron Miller and Bradley Rivers. Here comes Bailey up to the outside. Not quite enough. He's going to get to the bumper once again. Stay right behind. Andrew Chapman comes through the tri-oval. He's going to take the checkered flag in the Lone Wolf 200 as Harris and a few more crash behind. Andrew Chapman over Tristan Bailey and Jonathan Cogswell, the final driver on the podium. Anthony Ludi and Adam Boughton round out your top 5.
Well, they're making their way around. Let's go back and take a look here at the second group here as we're watching the winners make their way to the checkered flag. Almost everybody in this second pack just got hammered there.
Yeah, tough way to end the race. You're Bradley Rivers. Andrew Chapman gets the job done here. Led majority of the second half of this race. And he's gonna burn it down. Andrew Chapman gets his first win of the year, his second top 5, his 4th top 10. Gonna move him up in the standings this week for sure.
Yeah, definitely will do that. See here if I can look. And it looks like John Osborne is going to be the first one eliminated here in the Eliminator Challenge as he finishes in P28. But with that, let's see if we can get third place up. Yeah.
Jonathan Cogswell, it's Liam and Mike up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, it's nice to meet you.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you as well. And you get to come and meet us in spectacular fashion here, coming home third place. You started 11th, and it seemed like you guys just had the strategy game down pat from the start. Walk with us through your day and, that first pit cycle where you guys got really far out front of that second group.
Well, I was really worried there because when we pitted, I thought they were pitting, and only two of us pitted, but luckily we did really well getting in and out and got back up to leaders. And at one point, 01 pulled me all the way to the back, going 3 wide. I thought I was going to kill that guy. But he lost a lead lap, but luckily I got back up to the front.
Yeah, you guys came in a lap earlier than everybody else. You came back with that top 6 group, and you guys just kept adding time to that gap. What does it take to be so fast here and to streamline the draft like that?
I was mostly just trying to keep in line, not get it 2 or 3 wide, and so not slowing me down.
Well, Jonathan, you had a super strong run here today at Talladega, stayed up front most of this thing. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to for such a strong performance here?
I think Going Wrong Racing. I'd like to thank you guys for your broadcast and everyone that showed up to race it. And it's a lot of fun. And these guys are really tough because they're way better in their I rating. And this is one of the toughest leagues I'm in, and I really needed this really bad.
Well, awesome stuff, man. You got a phenomenal finish out of it, and we'll look forward to seeing what you can do, take that momentum to Bristol.
And I'd like to thank the guys in first, second, and Lee. They really took me along through this.
Well, thanks for joining us, Jonathan. Congratulations on the podium finish. We'll see you next time.
I hope so. I hope to get to talk to you again.
Yes, sir. Next, we'll go ahead and bring in Tristan Bailey.
Hey, Tristan, Mike up in the booth, man. How's it going?
It's going good.
Well, that was quite the performance. You guys had built that huge lead before that caution came out. How were you guys able to do that, and what were your thoughts after that caution came out?
We just kept it clean, but kind of also pushed hard at the same time, if you know what I mean. We just kind of helped each other get out to a lead, and at one point I told the guys said, look, we ain't got to push as hard. We can save a little bit more fuel or just, just stay within the gap so we don't turn each other. One day y'all said, no, let's go ahead and push. So we started pushing more, so he was up to 9 seconds. So he was like, oh, heck yeah. We got on the pit road, and the caution came out. Like, what the heck? We hope this don't screw us. Because we didn't know if that was going to screw us being on pit road and the caution came out or not. Because I know how iRacing likes to be janky sometimes. So.
Yeah, that's definitely what we were kind of wondering up here in the booth, because you never know. Because sometimes it'll keep you guys like a lap down or get you back in the field. But you guys were able to avoid that. You guys hooked up again. Had a couple late race restarts there. Was it always the plan just to stay committed to Chapman there and just push him to the win?
That was my plan, yeah. I didn't feel like there's a reason to have to pass a teammate for a win who hasn't had a win yet. But trust me, it was in the back of my mind. I thought about it, but I seen how close Jonathan was coming to the trial. I was like, nah, I'm not going to try it.
Well, heck of a race once again, Tristan. Anybody you want to thank before we get you out of here tonight?
All Eon's team members we have in here, we all work together really good there. As you know, York was a lap down when he got in front of me in that long green flag run. And then, just trying to save fuel at that point. Then, thank y'all for doing y'all's broadcasting and stuff. And thank the league for actually a pretty clean Talladega race. Yeah, we had a few cautions, but most Talladega races are way worse than that, I promise you.
Definitely, man. Well, congrats once again, and we'll see if we can talk to you next week at Bristol.
All right, thank you, man.
All right, and now we bring in our winner for the first time this season. Andrew Chapman, you take the checkered flag. What does it mean to get it done here at Talladega with a teammate pushing you?
Oh, I've been waiting on that one for a while. My teammate did awesome. He stayed glued to me and didn't even think about pulling out. So big thanks to Tristan for that. I owe a lot of that to him.
Well, you guys had a pretty phenomenal strategy, able to get out front early on and start to gap the rest of the field. What was that like? What does it take to kind of streamline that draft?
You get 3 or 4 people together that know how to push, and you can really pull away from a pack. So that was our plan: come down pit road away from everyone else, and hope we can put it together and push away. And it worked.
Well, you and Tristan were absolutely phenomenal, like clockwork every time on restarts. But what was your reaction when you saw those caution flags come out?
I mean, you expect it. You expected any lap at Talladega, so wasn't surprised. Just I wanted to control the restarts, taking the outside lane and jumping down, do the teammate restart. So it worked out good in the end. I can carry the way for the cautions. We expect it. So glad it wasn't a caution fest the whole race.
Absolutely. And before we let you go, who do you want to give a shout out to for such a strong run here, getting your first win on the season?
Definitely Tristan for the push. Owe all that to him. So thanks again.
Well, congratulations on the race win here, Andrew. We'll be seeing you at Bristol, hopefully talking to you once again.
Thanks, guys. That's my favorite track. So we'll see you there.
All right, some awesome stuff from our top 3. And elated, Andrew Chapman gets the job done here. He is stoked about that.
Yeah, definitely wins are a little hard to come by, especially when the caliber of the field that you were racing against. So, and especially at Talladega, you never know how that's going to shake out. Biggest mover of the race and a race winner. So, heck of a run. Liam, thank you for joining me here, and welcome back for a little while anyway. Anything you want to say before we get out of here tonight?
Oh, man, I mean, this is a phenomenal league, and it is so much fun to be able to be up here calling races with Sim Racing Media. I can't thank you guys enough for, allowing me to come and hang out, talk about some racing, and watch such a great league. These guys are absolutely incredible. We saw about 4 or 5 different crashes that just didn't happen because these guys are good at keeping these cars straight. We talked earlier about how tough they are to save, and well, they did it.
Yeah, they definitely did. It was a heck of a show. But with that being said, we're going to wrap it up tonight. Head to Bristol next week for the Rapid Fire Pizza 200. From all the drivers of the ECR NextGen League and all of us here at Sim Racing Media, I want to wish you guys a good night. We'll see you next time.